Travel party, yeah.
What's just I mean, back-to-back wins to the top three teams remaining. How was the team feel?
I mean, good. And it was obviously well documented that we hadn't gotten very many wins against people above us, and so that was certainly something that they were paying attention to, and we're understanding what it takes a little bit more as the season wears on, and was really happy for them. The way that we came out, the way that we're getting stops, getting rebounds, that sort of thing. Really happy for them to feel it, right? It's one thing to talk about it and hope that they do it. It's another when they do it and they feel the success, and you feel really happy for them.
I know you said you mentioned wanting pregame, you said Dorka to posting up a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys have a lot of much. You're big,
Yeah.
Especially in the first half, using your guards to sort of get downhill.
Yeah.
With the paint vacated up in the rim protectors. Just what was the balance in terms of varying that approach?
Well, I think both teams were, that's what we do. I know we felt like we had to be really persistent. Connecticut's defense is obviously difficult to play against, and there's pressure on the perimeter, and we had to kind of go, hey, this isn't going to be pretty. You're not going to be able to run your stuff very well, and you have to be willing to break a play to make a play. And whether that came from post players, whether it came from guards, I thought Lindsay Allen's physical toughness was exceptional again. She was so big for us against New York, and then did it again in probably even a more physically tough game for her. So I think the understanding, what we said was, it's a paint game, both directions. We were disappointed certainly in the second half with our paint protection and their, allowing their penetration, but that's what both teams want to do. Both teams had success, and both teams are going to try to clean it up for round two.
Obviously, you don't want Fee to be hurt, but you've had people stepping up when she's been out.
Yeah.
So what is kind of that development going to do for the team when she's back?
It's huge. It's huge. Makes minutes harder for the coaches. And that's what we're kind of going through right now, where we're trying to, find combinations, and it's nothing but good for us. And for them to kind of go, okay, I got to do more. What can I do? Maybe if we have Fee, she's getting, maybe the more of the touches, et cetera. And it happens a lot of times when you lose a best player, then everyone else kind of feels like, I don't want to say a little freer, because it's kind of like negative connotation, but it's more like it's anyone's turn now, and people step up and take those opportunities. I thought Shepherd was really good. Dorka, opportunistic, Nina. So the three of them kind of had different moments where they were really helpful, and obviously K-Mac continuing to shoot the ball well. Really unfortunate that tough call. I'm not saying it was a wrong call. It's probably the right call. Just really unfortunate. It's a hell of a play. I think the development of the players, and just as a team, when we finally get whole and we get Rachel and feedback, it's only bodes well for the long term of the season.
And Ariel obviously had a great
And
game.
AP, yeah,
She's back
yeah.
and healthy. Just what do you
Yeah, yeah. I'm in terms of expectations, I expect all of them, whether it's AP or anybody else, I expect all of them to be ready, from one game to the next. It's just, no one's kind of, locked into a set number of minutes or a set rotation. Each night we kind of search for who it is. I thought Diamond was really good against New York. It was a little bit tougher game for her. That created the opportunity for Powers. And then she came in and cashed in. And so obviously it was really good for our team. And that's what we need. That's what a collective is about. And if it wasn't Diamond's night, AP had her back. So we're just going to keep doing that and just continue to try to find our way with, the collective and not care who gets the credit.
The last play you were talking, well, not the last play, but the play you were talking about, where Allen for the bell was the hammer.
Yeah.
What were you saying that you called up the hammer in that situation, and you expected to be that open?
I felt like LA could turn the corner and get the penetration that we wanted. It's a play that our team runs well. And it just felt like the right time for it. And obviously K-Mac getting a shot, given, personnel that we had, we felt like that was going to be the best opportunity. It was well run, but just really unfortunate. LA typically doesn't get that far. So it's, not usually going to be her that's setting an illegal screen on the hammer play. It's pretty unlikely, you know. But she somehow kind of ran through there and just, you know, obviously felt pretty bad about it. But we hung on. Yeah.
That last defensive session.
Yeah.
Pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
What did you want to see and how did it kind of play out?
Well, we were riding Dorka pretty hard with her defense this game, and her defense on Bonner, where she's jumping, leaving her feet, and you know, and just getting schooled by Bonner. And we needed a play, and she felt like she redeemed herself, and she really was challenged by that. And you know, we again just a good disciplined heady play, just stay down, make them earn it, and it worked out for us.
Were you a little surprised by the Suns' lack of coordination on the backside of that one?
Honestly, I can't tell you that I know exactly what happened. I was not surprised. I probably had my mind only on one player, and that was Bonner. You know, we kind of felt like obviously AT and Bonner, something was going to happen with those guys. So I didn't really care what the other ones were doing. I'm sure that you know, I don't want to speak for what their huddle was, but I'm quite sure that AT and Bonner were going to make the play.
We talked a lot about Dorka, and obviously she's, you know, she's regressed really well.
Yeah.
A lot of people think she's one of the steals of the draft. Just from the start, what skills did you see that you really liked, and how have you seen those develop?
Yeah, I think Dorka, I like bigs that can play away from the basket. They can play in the pinch, which is what she did at UConn. So was well versed in kind of flashing ball movement. You know, still kind of evolving in terms of her own individual offense. She was actually a very good long two shooter in college. You know, just inside the three, shot north of 50%. And so we're just trying to figure out, you know, what are the best ways to use her. She's very confident. I can draw a play and it won't be the option that I asked for, but she'll shoot it anyway. You know, and we'll say, we'll give it to you that time, but you know, next time you better make sure that we get the ball where we're supposed to go. But she's just confident. I think that's probably what we saw. She's just confident and growing each game, you know, in that confidence.
Pivot to the Zoom, start out with Kent.
I can't.
Hey, apart from whether or not that call in LA was a good one, it was a huge call. It seemed that, and even more so at the time. And I'm curious about what you think about the way your team responded to a very negative call when the game was so close. It reminds me a little bit of the New York game when they got within a point, but you just didn't let them get back all the way. Just kind of the toughness that this team is kind of starting to show here at this point.
I was going to say we're experienced with it. We came off of whistle against New York, and we had to, you know, kind of hang in there. And so, you know, it appeared that we saw the, you know, the in-arena replay. It appeared to be the right call. I did appreciate that they reviewed it. We weren't going to challenge it because it felt like, again, you know, they're not going to reverse very many calls, it seems, in our league. But yeah, it was in our timeouts, you know, we're really talking about, you know, the next play, and we knew we had to get a stop, you know, and, you know, we got fouled, you know, we got what we wanted, and, you know, K-Mac goes 1 for 2 and really put a lot of pressure on our defense and just found a way to hang in there.
And I wanted to ask about Dorka.
Gus Shepard's defensive rebounding was exceptional.
Well, you must have gotten the okay from Chuck to play the entire fourth quarter.
I gotta tell you, I didn't even ask Chuck. I don't think anybody was looking for Chuck. Just Shepard was not looking for Chuck and looking for to be bailed out in any way. So we did feel like, though, you know, I didn't feel like the minutes were physically putting her in a place that we were concerned about. There were a lot of stoppages, that sort of thing, and you know, her rebounding and just some tough 3-point play type you know, situations that was really helpful to our offense in a key stretch.
And just the play at the end of the game, in her first game back at Connecticut, to get the huge block. When everybody kind of like you said, everybody in the arena probably thought that was the shot that was going to be taken.
Yep.
I mean, you just kind of can't make that up, can you?
Yeah. No, it was great. It was great. The you know, the rookie in her first game back, like I said, it was a journey. This game, it was a journey. You know, there was a lot of things that, you know, didn't necessarily go well for her. There's a lot of things that did. And so that, you know, kind of up and down nature of the game, where I think Dorka's really good at sort of responding and unfazed. And she wanted the responsibility. that was a big decision for us in that timeout, is who we were going to have to guard DB. That's a tough one in terms of experience and just a difficult guard that Bonner is. And I appreciated that Dorka sort of learned from earlier in the game and just stayed disciplined. And if she was going to score, she was going to have to really earn it. And making her shoot over was that was obviously key.
Now to Alexa.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi,
Wanted to follow up when you were talking about this group understanding what it takes a little bit more.
Yeah.
What is it specifically that they're beginning to understand, and what would you attribute that growth to?
I think really to compete against the teams that are in position to compete for championships, that the understanding of the physical output, that how hard you have to play, that you have to physically compete in the games. And I know that sounds like, well, yeah, of course, but it's not something that we on the regular have done, and that we continue to implore them. Where I'm not easy to be around, and just kind of trying to, when we have poor shoot arounds or we have, practice where I'm going, that's not it. I'm really on them. And what I appreciate about them is that they, of course, they let me, be myself, and then they just respond. And I think that comes from the level-headed emotional maturity of most of the players and their belief in what they're doing. And I honestly think it's contagious when you have success. You don't have to keep saying it. They know why we're having success. We had to be physically tough in that game. And, both ends. I mean, Connecticut's very physical defensively, and nothing was easy. And then certainly at the other end, I mean, the play in the paint, the rebounding, the 11 offensive rebounds, too many. But overall, I think that's probably the biggest thing. I think the execution part, I think we've grown. Every team has, right? That 60% or more from the start of the season. That's how far along we are. Everyone's gotten better. Everyone's gotten better in their execution and understanding of what they're doing. But I do think that's been a part of our growth. And without Fee, Kayla McBride's play has been absolutely pivotal.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any further questions for Cheryl?
I have one more,
Go ahead.
coach.
I can't.
If you had been told before the game that you were going to be outshot 27-16 at the free throw line on the road against a top 3 team, what would you have thought your chances would be of winning this game?
Well, I probably would have asked you, did we hold them to below 40% before I answered the question? Because obviously that was key. No, I'd have been upset, because that's now back-to-back games with these guys that were, north of 23, 24 free throws, and that's just not the path. And we had just 8 in the second half, obviously after having 19 free throws in the first half. So we have to be better in that regard. And we'll see what the officiating crew is. And I say that not from the standpoint of any complaints about officials. It's just that officials have tendencies, and so we're very aware of what kind of game it is, and we make sure that we share that information with our players.
Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Hi, Coach. Sonia, WFSB here in Hartford. You've dealt with your fair share of elite front court players, and having Dorka, another Dorka question you can imagine, but
She deserves it.
From having seen her, obviously you picked her in the draft for a
Right.
reason. What are some of the things about her game? If there are even any similarities to the elite players that you've worked with before, what do you like most about her?
I like Dorka's versatility. Dorka has really, not that we knew everything about her. There's probably areas that were kind of going, I don't know that I've coached a big that is as good as she is with the ball, dribbling the ball up the court, driving, decision-making. She's very, very comfortable in that space. I can't tell you that when we had our, draft meetings and that we said, that's what Dorka's going to do for us, and that's what she's going to be good at. That is not what we saw. Not to say she, whether we knew she could or she couldn't, it just wasn't on our radar. I do think there's more to Dorka in terms of her perimeter shooting, that as we get confident in terms of the team offense and her space to do that. Now she does it freely. There's not a time that we have to ask her to shoot. She does that freely. She's got confidence there. I think that for Dorka, what we were impressed with early on defensively was what you saw against New York, what you saw against Connecticut, in that there's some small ball being played. You got someone like Stewie who's initiating offenses. You've got Duana Bonner, who, she had 31, so it's not to say that we did, an unbelievable job on her, but it's just that we're not afraid to put her in those situations. We're not afraid if we wanted to switch that she ends up switching onto a guard. So she has some unique physical abilities in terms of agility and speed with the ball. And she's becoming a pretty solid rebounder. And certainly if you've come out of UConn, your footwork and you're playing the pinch post and you're passing, those were the things that we've for sure valued.
And then for the expectations that you had for this team, as long as you've been running, and for her to have played such a pivotal role so early, what have you liked about her mental approach or the way that she approaches the game that makes it a no-brainer for her to be part of?
Yeah, I mean, I've said this, so much about Dorka because it's uncommon for a young player to have the emotional maturity that she has, where she's not impacted by negative play. She's not gonna feel sorry for herself and go sulk and be, an energy drainer. She just like, tell me what you want me to do. And she's gonna go try to do it. And so she doesn't ride, typically, the young players ride the ups and downs and why am I not playing? Or why did that happen? Or why? And they focus on the wrong things. Dorka's always focused on the right things. And I know that she credits her time at UConn for that. And I'm sure probably a little bit Ohio State as well. But I think that emotional maturity, the confidence that she knows, it seemed, and I don't know what was happening on the inside for her during the course of training camp. I know she was pretty focused on what we were trying to get done. When the separator for a lot of players that make the league and don't make the league, knowing that you belong and having that belief in yourself, I belong. I don't think Dorka's ever doubted that she belonged on our team. Or doing what she's doing in games.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ken, that's still hand raised. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay.